Imagine you and three classmates are performing an experiment when things start to go wrong. You've proven your hypothesis, but something darker is proving itself to be true as well. This is the Ganzfeld Haunting. We start out with a girl speaking to us about fate and introduces the story of how she reunited with her sister. Immediately, we learn that this movie will be about four psychology students performing an experiment to see if thoughts could be transported telepathically using 1950s equipment. One of our main characters, Beckett, calls the police in a panic from a dirty bathtub, but she doesn't remember what happened. She states that she can't breathe, but puts on some strange glasses and seems fine after that. At 5 a.m. the day before, Beckett is recording an intro to their experiment, which will be studying the Ganzfeld experiment at an abandoned home her family owns. She's working alongside Elliot, Graves, and Lucky. We have some unique names in this movie. Their hypothesis is that certain conditions, such as sensory or sleep deprivation, can increase extrasensory perceptual capabilities, which is just a fancy way to say telepathy. Lucky lets us know that none of them are friends, and she wants to take some cocaine to help them stay up for 2 days straight. Beckett isn't into that plan, but Graves and Lucy proceed with it. Elliot, the engineering expert, records in the subject room, showing that they have 3 cameras, whiteout goggles, the same ones we saw at the beginning, noise-canceling headphones, and a red light to block out external stimuli for the subject. They wired that room to the observation room where the transmitting subject will mentally project words and images to the receiver subject. They hope that the receiver could then project the same words and images back onto the screen so they can prove their hypothesis. The computers go haywire and they briefly see a little girl running on the screen, then they go back to normal. Beckett rewatches the intro footage and sees images of a woman, but she doesn't seem too fazed about it. There's then a loud noise, and Elliot goes to check on the fuse. Beckett enters the childhood room and sees glimpses of someone, but again, she doesn't address it. At 10 a.m., the experiment begins. Graves puts on the headphones and goggles as the receiver subject. Lucky describes cards she sees to Graves. They give up after a minute when it doesn't work, and they switch Lucky out for Beckett. After a moment, Graves sees flashes of the card and various images, and on the screen, the others see images of the house and children playing. Graves also hears the voice of his dead father, and he sees a bunch of bloody images. Beckett determines that Ganzfeld is real and switches places with Graves. Graves is freaking out and claims that Beckett is doing all of this, but he agrees to be the transmitter for another round. Beckett sees the card as well as images of 2 little girls in the children's bedroom. A man comes through the window with a knife and seemingly stabs one of the girls. She knows that one is herself, and she's not too sure who the other girl is. The others also see what she sees on their screen. They give her a piece of paper as she frantically writes sisters. So it's pretty obvious that the girl is her sister. We have a special guest with me now. The ghost girl has another voiceover saying that no one is innocent and it's Judgment Day. At 11:30 a.m., the group talks about what happened. Graves still thinks Beckett set it all up, and Beckett doesn't remember having a sister. Beckett calls up her mom and asks if they ever lived in that house or rented it out. Her mom doesn't want to talk about it, and the phone cuts out. The ghost girl has another voiceover telling us about how they can try, but they can't escape her power. The group then puts on music and smokes. Graves convinces the girls to kiss while he films it, and also convinces Beckett to try some cocaine. And Elliot also does it, so now they are all sleep deprived and high. Lucky and Beckett strip down, and there's some fan service scenes. The ghost girl walks in and screams, freaking them out. The boys go check upstairs, thinking someone's in the house now. They find the computers on the ground, and the door closes and opens on its own. They find nothing and assume it's the drugs messing with them. Sure. But Elliot has a vision of the knife in the bloody room, but once again chalks it down to the drugs. Maybe they shouldn't have taken drugs. At 1 a.m., Beckett finds the tapes all torn out, and she gets upset. Elliot promises to fix it, and they hook up while Lucky takes more drugs. She ends up passing out while Elliot sees the ghost girl in the mirror. They carry Lucky to the bed, and they all go downstairs. The ghost girl tells Lucky sweet dreams and puts her to sleep. In the bathroom, Beckett sees blood in the sink and sister on the mirror. The ghost girl speaks to her, saying that Beckett tricked them into thinking they have a chance. Beckett still thinks they do, and the ghost girl tells her to tell them the truth or she will. And Beckett also gets a bruised face from being hit in the face by the ghost girl. At 2:15 a.m., Lucky joins them, so she is not dead, and Graves shows them a picture he found of two little girls. Beckett says that's her, but she doesn't know who the other girl is. Maybe it's the ghost girl you were just talking to in the mirror. She confronts Graves, thinking that he knows who the other girl is, but he claims not to. She gets him to do the experiment again to see what he knows. At 3 a.m., they have another round of experiments. On the screen, there's 5 children, and Graves' father is taking photos. There's a news report about a father's suicide after a sex scandal. Beckett yells at him, saying the photo was found on his dead father, and he's a child murderer who had sex with a minor. But then she snaps out of it, not remembering what she said. Then Graves makes her be the subject. Beckett sees the man approaching and herself running away, leaving her sister alone in the room. She writes down child closet wall and sees the man give a young boy an apple and a knife. The young boy then stabs the little girl. Graves goes to the child closet to try and figure this out, but still thinks it's all a lie. Elliot doesn't feel well and goes to check if there's a gas leak. The ghostly girl tells Beckett it's still here, and she scratches the wallpaper in the closet and brings Beckett the knife, saying that she now knows Graves killed her and she wants revenge. Graves finds Lucky dead, and Beckett stabs him. Back in the opening scene, Beckett puts the goggles on in the bathtub, and the police arrive at the house where it smells like gas. They find Graves and Lucky dead on the floor, Elliot dead on the way to the attic, and Beckett in the bath seizing, and they call an ambulance. One detective tells the other that years ago, a bunch of kids were having a play date here, and one of the fathers killed a girl. The weapon was never found, but her sister was hiding in the closet and saw the whole thing. In the closet, they find a bunch of bloodstains and a knife with kids' fingerprints. The ghost girl Molly then states that we only see what we want to see, and she welcomes Beckett home. And that's the end of the Ganzfeld Haunting. While the movie was entertaining at times, I've saved you from watching the whole thing because it was quite confusing and hollow. It was a good idea in theory, but executed weirdly. They go back and forth between drugs versus ghosts versus gas, and even the end leaves it kind of vague. Maybe we're supposed to be as confused as the characters, and in that case, it worked. But I'm left with a lot of questions. So they all died from carbon monoxide, and Beckett never stabbed Graves? Where did the knife come from? Does the Ganzfeld experiment actually work, or was that the ghost? Did Beckett know about her sister or not? Because what was up with that bathroom conversation? And why did Graves kill Molly, and was his dad a predator? They never confirmed that. And them all knowing each other as kids and being there that day as adults, but not remembering and conveniently being put in the same group where they end up back here. Sure. I guess we can attribute this to Molly's ghost powers. I don't know. I think the ending would be cooler to be all chalked down to the gas leak and there's no ghost, but this is fine too. Also, Molly's voiceover riddles gave me nothing. They were just confusing. Moral of the story is, don't take drugs and don't go to abandoned houses, and if you start to hallucinate, probably exit the house and get a gas check. Like, subscribe, comment your opinions below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.